Welcome to 1000 PS, welcome to Birmingham NEC. We've jumped over to Royal Enfield to check out the new Himalayan, which is completely new for 2024. This is a massive step for Royal Enfield with the new Himalayan for 2024. There is no resemblance between this bike and the old Enfield Himalayan. There is no crossover of parts. This is a ground up, brand new bike for Royal Enfield. And in many ways, it's a world first for Royal Enfield because it's the first time they've put water cooling, it's the first time they've had double overhead cam, this is the first time they've had ride-by-wire throttle, and it's the first time they've got TFT clocks with Bluetooth connectivity. This is Royal Enfield in 2024. Now with the new water-cooled engine, you've got a lot more power than before. Off the top of my head, it's 60% more torque. We've got around 40 horsepower, and we got the opportunity to test this bike where it's designed and where it's made, and that was in the Himalayas. What an amazing experience to have 2 days of riding this unique bike. As we said, this is a completely ground up new bike for Royal Enfield, a massive step over the old bike, considerably more power. Weight has stayed around the same, even though the engine is actually 10 kilograms lighter, the overall bike is only a few kilograms lighter. And they've done that because they wanted to keep the robustness and strength of the Royal Enfield. Now this bike has been primarily designed for the Indian market, and if you've ever been to India and ridden in India, bikes are generally not ridden solo, they're generally ridden 2, sometimes 3 up with even luggage. So this bike needs to be robust and it needs to be strong. Little things like moving the airbox higher above the fuel tank means it can go through deeper water. Big solid crash bars, which means it can take dropping it on rocks. It's really strong and it's really robust. We've got 2 rider modes, which is a performance and an eco. To be honest, with so little power here in the UK and in Europe, you're only going to use the performance mode, which is full power. We've got 2 options for the ABS, which is on-road and off. When you go into off-road ABS, you have no ABS on the rear, which means you can jump on the back brake and slide it around, but you've always got ABS on the front. Suspension-wise, the shower suspension is really impressive. Royal Enfield have clearly done their homework and a lot of research and a lot of mileage, because this bike ride quality is excellent. Bearing in mind, when we was in India, there was potholes that you could get lost in, and it could still ride in track perfectly smooth. We also had 2 full days in India, which meant lots of time in the saddle. Started riding at 8 o'clock, and we got back around 5 or 6 o'clock on really varied terrain, quite often rough and hard going. But the comfort is excellent, the ergonomics, the balance, the feel. Just a beautiful, simple, easy bike to ride, even for a short rider like me. On the slight downside, if you could call it a downside, the launch was in the Himalayas, which is some of the most amazing roads I've ever seen. But it was at 13,000 feet, and at 13,000 feet, you lose about 20 to 30% of air, which means the engine was gasping and didn't have the full power that we was expecting. So what we're going to do is review this bike again at a normal sea level, where we should feel that massive performance gain, which we can't wait to do when we get this bike for a full test at normal sea level. Hope you've enjoyed the video, hope you've enjoyed the insight, and yes, it wasn't the worst job in the world to go to the Himalayas to test this bike. Click and subscribe, and I hope you give the video a thumbs up.